Learning by Love Yourself Indonesia Foundation and FIM Bandung, or FIM Bandung, yeah. My name is Hadija, and I'll be your moderator for tonight, or for today. See, some of you in different country, yeah, so maybe it's not night there. Okay, so everyone, today's session will explore how culture, language, and educational systems abroad can shape learners into resilient, open-minded individuals. And we will discuss what can we learn and even copy from these systems to enhance our own learning journey. So whether you're planning to study abroad, or already in the journey, or simply curious, this discussion will give you new insight to fuel your growth. But before we move on, I'd like to remind everyone to please stay on mute during the session. And if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat anytime. We'll get to them during the Q&A later, or in the Q&A later, you can use the raise hand feature to ask directly to our speakers for tonight. So I think I have shared in the chat box that everyone can tell us, yeah, your name and also where you're joining from. Yeah, so you can share in the chat box what's your name and where are you from, like this, so that I know. Um, okay, so we have Farah from Papua. Wow. Yeah, and I'm Khadijah, I'm from Bandung. And what about the others? Where are you from? Please type in the chat box so we can get to know each other. Okay. While waiting everyone to chat on the chat box, to uplift our spirit in this webinar, we have a jargon. So it's like this. I'm going to copy it in the chat box. So if I say go growling, everyone should say go, grow, global, and gagalin limit. I'm sorry, I think I should correct my punctuation. It should be grow global. Yeah. So if I say go growing, everyone should say go, grow global, and gagalin limit. Okay? So everyone, you can turn on your microphone now. Thank you. Okay, you can turn on your microphone and let's say together. If I say go growing, you say go, grow, global, and gagalin limit. Ready? One, two, three. Go growing, go,
Go, go
grow,
global,
global,
and gathering
and
limit.
Go
gagalin
global.
limit. Okay, thank you so much, everyone who is participating in the jargon. Yeah, so although not everyone, but I hope our spirit can also uplift the others who have joined our webinar tonight. Okay, so let's have a few warming up before we go to our main session for tonight. So our speakers tonight are from America. They're living in America, but we're going to listen to their story, yeah, later in the speaker session. But before that, I would like to ask all of you here, and you can type down the answer in the chat box. When I say America, or when we think about America, what comes to your mind? Like when you think of America, hmm, what comes to your mind, everyone? You can share your thoughts in the chat box. Well, if I think this what comes to my mind when people say the word or the country America. Hollywood, of course. What else? Do you have anything in your mind when you heard the word America? You can share it in the chat box. Trump, yeah, it's very, very popular nowadays, especially. Yeah, I think every day my mother always turn on the news about what happened in America. I think uh, it's interesting, yeah, to follow what. Yeah, I don't know, many of us well. Okay, what about Hollywood and also like the politics that happen in America, especially about the president now, President Trump. What else? There are a lot of things, yeah, actually. America is really a big country, and then yeah, we heard a lot of news about America. Yeah. So if you have any idea later, you can type down in the chat box too, yeah? Okay. So everyone, before we go to the main session, let's get to know our speaker a little bit better. So we have two speakers for tonight. This is a special session because usually we only have one speaker, but tonight we have two speakers. So the first speaker is Sister Felicia M. Padilla, a graduate from psychology in the Sam Houston State University, and now currently doing her PhD in neuroscience in the University of Missouri. And we also have the second speaker, Sister Nanan, a neurodevelopment researcher and neuroscience PhD candidate in the University of Missouri. So I would like to say hi to our speakers for tonight. Hi, Sister Felicia.
Hello,
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good too. Thank you. What about Sister Nanan? How are you today?
Good, good.
Okay. I think you both ready to share with us, yeah, your experience, how because you already got to, I mean, the doctoral degree. I think there are a lot of things that you can share with us, yeah, about how education has shaped um your mind, yeah. What is the right mindset that we should have when we are learning to continue developing ourselves? So without further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Sister Felicia Empadia, to share her story with us. Screen is yours.
Hi. Um, I do apologize. I did not make like a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll just kind of talk and we can make it kind of conversational. If you have any questions, just please let me know. So I grew up in Texas, and so the way that the United States does their educational system is basically like each state kind of controls what their education is. So like what I got in Texas might be different from somebody got in like Washington or somebody got in Missouri or anything like that. But they kind of try to make it where it's still kind of foundational that throughout the whole entire country, you kind of have some of the similar skills and like you went to college kind of like at the same slate. Um, and so because of that, like my experience might be a little bit different from somebody else in a different part of the country. I think growing up, we really did foster like kind of that growth mindset within the classrooms. They were very encouraging. They really wanted us to kind of explore. I'm so sorry if you hear noises. I have a cat and she's currently scratching her scratcher. Um, Anyway, they kind of encouraged us to kind of not just explore like educational like growths like within science and within like history or math. They also kind of encouraged us to like look at different types of electives. Like for example, like within the arts through band or choir or music and through like sports like within like volleyball or like football or stuff like that. And I feel like that kind of helped shaped us, like not only through those electives, but also through our educational system because they kind of played hand in hand where like you weren't allowed to participate in those events unless you were doing pretty well in school. And so, like, I did band and theater. And so I feel like that really helps me um, understand, like, there's more to life than just school. There's another way of learning, which I thought was very beneficial. And that kind of helped me, like, bring those skills within the classroom. And then after graduation, like, I feel like college is definitely pushed down upon us, like through K through 12. I feel like they really do show you, like, oh, you can go to college or you can kind of go to the military. There really wasn't those two options, but like after coming outside of high school, you kind of realize there are many different options you are able to take. You can go into trade school where you can actually hone down those like skills and you can kind of learn more. Um, you can kind of learn that there's more to education other than just science, math, history, and stuff. And I think that's also very important because those skills and those like educational programs are also just as important as going to college. Um, but for me, I feel like my growth mindset personally really grew in college. Um, I feel like the United States is definitely a melting pot. Specifically in Texas, we have a huge Hispanic population. We have a huge African American population, um, especially on Sam Houston's campus. So Sam Houston is in Huntsville, Texas, which is about 45 minutes north of Houston, if anybody knows Texas geography. Um, and so we have a huge like Hispanic population. Like we had more Hispanics on campus than we actually had like whites or like blacks or anything like that. That's something that they kind of pride themselves in. Um, and so being able to see all those different cultures mixing together and being able to experience individuals from other parts of the country or even like people that were pretty close by and like kind of putting them all together, like I really appreciated it because it helped me broaden my mind and like, oh, what I know and what I've learned isn't like just the norm. Like there's other mindsets out there. And so that's kind of helped like cultivate throughout like college and throughout classrooms. And then we also have professors that are really encouraging and really wants us to do well. And they kind of show us that like it's okay if you don't succeed in this exact moment, but like it you will later on. And so like it's kind of like that quote. I think it was like Thomas Edison. He was like, "Oh, I learned like 1,000 ways not to build a light bulb." So it's kind of that same concept where it's like it's okay to fail and like they kind of help you through that. And I know going into college, it was really hard for me to have that mindset of like it's okay to fail. I feel like it might have just been like culturally like for me because I did grow up Hispanic and stuff like that. And so it was kind of instilled to me that like you kind of have to be like this perfect person and you can't like fail at anything and you have to do really well. But then like go to college and I remember like my first semester I was like crying because I'm like I don't know what if I'm doing everything correctly and stuff like that. And it really were my professors that kind of like sat down and I developed good mentorship where they're like, you're in the perfect place. It's okay. It's okay if you fall down. We're here to kind of help bring you back up. And having that like people with you has been so encouraging because I know like now as a grad student, I still talk to my old mentors. Like if I ever have problems, I know I can go back to them and they'll help me. And so I feel like having that growth mindset is really cultivated through the people around you and through mentorship and through the ability to know that it's okay to like and it's okay to like not be perfect, but the only way back up is kind of like picking yourself back up. And so I feel like once you have that mindset, and I don't know if it's like completely a culture thing, but having that resiliency overall is very and very helpful to you to the next steps in life. Um, and also, I think that like within our system, it's really nice to know that like even if you pick a certain major, that you're not stuck with it. So like for example, I came in with a psychology background. So like I went into undergrad thinking that I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I wanted to work with criminals and stuff like that, figure out if I can help them and stuff. I learned out very quickly that that's really not what I want to do, but I didn't know exactly what that was until later on in my college career, where I learned, oh, I actually want to do neuroscience. And so I didn't come in with a neuroscience background. I barely came in with a biology background, but I believe that like the skills that you have that you were able, like I was able to develop as an undergrad was able to transfer into um being able to go into a grad school program. And so I feel like being able to know where your strengths are and being able to know where your skills are have really been able to help with my mindset because sometimes I know that I get discouraged. I'm like, oh, I'm not at the same level as some of these other individuals in my cohort because they come in with these backgrounds. Um, but then I have to remember it's okay and that I'm still learning. And so I believe that like this whole growth mindset is definitely it's okay, but like we'll get through it together. Like I'll get through it and we'll be like, no matter what, everything's going to be okay. And so I think it's just like knowing that, but it takes time to get there, and it probably will take a minute to be like understanding that like everyone else, like, you're on this level of like I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of having that community behind it that really supports and fosters like how far you go at the end of the day. And so for me, I am going into my second year as a PhD student. And so being able to interact with my lab mates or like with even with my cohort has definitely helped like want me to go away. And so I feel that like I said, like that community is very encouraging for a growth mindset overall compared to like being by yourself, because being by yourself, it's a little bit harder overall compared to having that community.
Okay, so I think we have got a perspective here from native, I think someone who or learn and study in America from kindergarten, they mentioned, until what is it, PhD. So you're learning in using in America in education system, and then you feel that the teacher are encouraging and everything is always like very supporting towards your education. And I think there are a few mindset that can also follow from what you have gained through your education is that it's okay to fail. You have to be, and then you have to find a way to pick yourself again. And then about resiliency and also knowing your strength and skill, and also to be in a community and involved in a mentoring session so that you are not going through everything by yourself. Okay, thank you so much, Felicia, for sharing with us. Now we are going to listen from our second speaker, Sister Nanan. Assalamualaikum, sister.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. So I already told,
Okay.
yeah. So I already told Felicia I'm gonna speak in Indonesia. I know there is like transcribing, like or translation thingy and
Mm-mm,
Zoom meeting.
mm-mm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can use it if you want to. But I mean, like what I want to say is kind of like same with what you just said. So yeah. So
Okay.
ya, jadi saya akan ngomong pakai bahasa Indonesia ya. Sebenarnya ada presentasi, tapi nggak tahu apakah ini akan relate atau enggak. Tapi kita coba ya. Oh, nggak bisa share screen.
Okay, maybe host, can you please help Sister Nanan? Give her the wait.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, let me see. Okay, yeah, it's only like few slides. Okay, jadi tadi Felicia udah cerita tentang lifelong learning as an American, growing up in American. Saya akan cerita sebagai orang yang belajar di Amerika dan gimana caranya bisa tetap punya growth mindset. Jadi kalau Felicia cerita di Amerika itu bisa pindah jurusan. Jadi kita awal misalnya kita pengen jadi forensik psikologi, tadi dia bilang habis itu dia berubah haluan bisa. Kalau kita ya daftar jadi psikologi ya udah gitu stuck gitu di sana atau nggak pindah mata kuliah dan lain sebagainya. Itu adalah hal yang tidak bisa kita ubah, jadi diterima saja. Jadi caranya adalah kita harus bisa menentukan apa yang mau kita mau lebih cepat dibandingkan orang Amerika karena kita tidak memiliki privilege buat ganti jurusan semau kita meskipun sekarang sudah ada kurikulum merdeka. Nah, jadi sebenarnya yang namanya lifelong learning ini intinya belajar seumur hidup bahwa kita itu akan senantiasa belajar sampai mati beyond our formal educations. Jadi bukan cuman dapat bachelor degree, master degree, or even PhD, tapi kita benar-benar belajar terus sepanjang hidup kita. Dan biasanya ini juga akan terikat dengan yang namanya self improvement, entrepreneurship. Bayangin kalau kita jadi orang yang punya usaha, tapi kita nggak ada growth mindset. Jadi ya segitu-segitu aja gitu ya nanti apa namanya laba perusahaannya gitu. Dan juga bisa jadi terkait sama career kita, kita mau naik level di kantor dan lain sebagainya. Kalau di sini sebagai orang Indonesia, Selain kuliah juga, saya biasanya ikut berbagai macam online classes, bisa di Coursera, bisa di community college juga bisa. Ada juga di library pun mereka suka offer classes macam-macam, ada yang online, ada yang in person gitu. Tapi semuanya itu saya cari yang free gitu ya. Dan kalau misalnya nggak ada dananya, kita selalu bisa tanya buat dapat scholarship. Dan peluang itu kemungkinan besar ada as long as kita mau nanya gitu. Jadi belajar di Amerika ini membuat saya benar-benar pengen belajar terus. Kenapa? Karena banyak banget kesempatan untuk dapat berbagai materi dengan gratis, berbagai kelas, berbagai skills dengan gratis. Bahkan itu nggak ada yang namanya limit minjem buku. Mau minjem 1.000 buku pun gitu istilahnya silahkan. Yang penting nanti dibalikin. Kan kalau bikin library itu akan terus-menerus ngingetin kita buat balikin. Setelah lama baru dia bilang, oh kamu kalau nggak balikin buku ini dendanya sekian. Tapi supaya mencegah nggak bayar denda, kamu bisa datang dan balikin buku itu secepatnya. Nah, apa sih yang mendukung dan menghambat mindset gitu ya? Jadi kalau di sini, karena saya PhD student, pengen banget yang namanya dapetin grant atau fund. Tapi sayangnya, yang namanya ini hanya eligible American citizen. Karena saya bukan American citizen, jadi benar terbatas. Saya bisa daftar di kampus masih bisa dan di beberapa full bisa have to be American citizen in order to get the funding gitu. Jadi itu namanya ya tahannya. Lalu namanya tuitions dan lain sebagainya pun itu akan lebih mahal buat international students. Alhamdulillah beasiswa, jadi saya nggak perlu bayar. Tapi untuk yang pengen kuliah di Amerika dan jadi students itu biayanya kan berbeda dengan em, orang Amerika. Nah, untuk bisa jadi lifelong learner gitu ya, orang yang selalu belajar, kita harus tahu bahwa itu adalah yang perlu banget kita hindari. Kalau orang Sunda suka bilang nyakumaha deui gitu ya. Tapi kalau orang yang punya growth mindset dia nggak akan bilang nyakumaha deui, tapi karena begini apa yang harus kita lakukan. Jadi kalau orang punya growth mindset dia akan cenderung mikir dan merencanakan apa yang akan mereka lakukan setelah ini gitu. Jadi untuk teman-teman di sini yang pengen mungkin lanjut kuliah atau punya growth mindset yang lebih baik lagi, jangan lupa bikin apa namanya life plan gitu. Mau kemana sekarang, usia berapa, in 1 year mau ngapain, 2 tahun lagi, 3 tahun lagi, dan sampai mati mau ngapain gitu. Kalau saya sebagai orang Islam, saya pasang life plan saya sampai usia 63 tahun. Setelah itu kita lihat lagi nanti gitu. Oke. Nah, personal, oh sorry, mana ya? Oke. Nah, sekarang sebagai orang yang mau belajar terus-menerus gitu ya, juga harus sadar bahwa kita juga punya tanggung jawab terhadap diri sendiri dan terhadap orang lain. Jadi kita harus terus nanya apa yang bikin kamu tertarik itu apa sih dalam hidup dan gimana caranya biar kamu terus-terus belajar. Seperti yang tadi Felicia bilang tentang jadi PhD student, sometimes tuh kita benar-benar ngerasa lonely gitu. Kita punya lab mates tapi we just work with our own project gitu. Jadi sometimes we meet but we talk about something else gitu. Karena kita punya own project sendiri. She's working on animal, but working with patients gitu ya. Kita berbeda gitu. Jadi kalau saya tertarik sama benar-benar tertarik sama human population, saya benar-benar tertarik sama anak-anak dengan atau youth dengan autism, saya akan tetap terus curious, tetap senang buat belajar gitu. Dan terkait dengan community juga kita harus terus-menerus dapat informasi gitu ya. Dengan banyaknya informasi di social media, kita harus tetap dapat informasi dan juga bisa mencari informasi tersebut sehingga kita bisa terus-menerus beradaptasi. Dan satu lagi, di Amerika ini untungnya kalau mau volunteer itu nggak nanya, kamu citizen apa bukan? Semua orang bisa volunteer. Jadi ini juga adalah kesempatan yang bagus untuk gaul sama orang ini untuk bisa belajar dari banyak orang di sini. Oke, ops, terakhir. Nah, terakhir adalah gimana sih caranya biar pembelajaran ini tuh lebih inklusif dan equitable gitu ya. Jadi kalau di sini balik lagi yang namanya biaya, akses terhadap teknologi, bahasa Inggris bukan bahasa pertama saya, discrimination alhamdulillah kalau di Missouri ini belum pernah ngalamin ya di diskriminasi. Tapi di kota-kota lain kayak di New York, di California itu banyak teman-teman yang ngalamin hal tersebut. Tapi alhamdulillah saya nggak ngalamin. Nah, di sini balik lagi, biayanya mahal gitu ya, akses terhadap teknologi juga terbatas, tapi karena saya mahasiswa, saya dapat akses yang lengkap gitu. Tapi kalau bukan mahasiswa, biasanya itu terbatas banget. Dan internet di sini tuh nggak sebagus di Indonesia juga gitu. Meskipun kita bayar, paling murah itu sekitar $35 per bulan itu unlimited. Itu tuh, apa namanya, sering juga mati gitu. Jadi, Indonesia dan Amerika ternyata internet itu beda gitu. Nah, solusinya apa? Jadi bisa learning yang subsidized learning kalau saya karena terlalu ya meskipun disubsidi jadi ship, hubs, multilingual content gitu. Kita tetap cari komunitas yang terus kita bisa tadi volunteering, kita bisa gaul sama eh, komunitas yang lain karena sebagai graduate student di sini juga dapat kesempatan untuk involve di organizations gitu ya. Banyak banget student organizations di sini kita bisa involve, kita bisa jadi apa namanya, kita bisa uangnya juga bisa. Yang penting kita terus involve di sana. Jadi kalau misalnya nih karena keren kalau misalnya banyak orang di sini mungkin nanti kita bisa bikin grup-grup kecil-kecil gitu terus kita mikirin gimana sih inclusive learning itu di komunitas kita gitu ya di Indonesia karena saya nggak tahu gimana keadaan di perkuliahan di Indonesia sekarang, tapi rasa-rasanya sih sejauh ini masih agak tersegregasi antara swasta dan negeri. Kalau di negeri biasanya inklusif karena ya semua orang yang udah masuk seleksi berarti ya bisa mengikuti pelajaran dengan baik, jadi nggak namanya didiskriminasi gitu. Tapi mengajar di swasta, kalau di swasta lebih ke banyak orang yang masuk kuliah tuh karena memang nggak diterima di mana-mananya karena gitu. Padahal yang namanya swasta nggak seburuk itu gitu. Bahkan banyak juga swasta yang baik gitu. Cuman ini hal yang perlu kita apa ya lebih em, sadari lagi bahwa ya swasta sama negeri itu nggak itu karena kalau di sini tuh bener-bener ada standarnya sehingga yang namanya kamu kuliah di mana di public university atau private university itu bukan suatu pertanyaan. Kita sama di sini gitu. Jadi nggak terlalu jompang gitu antara swasta sama negeri. Mungkin itu aja dari saya kayaknya udah deh. Iya, terima kasih. Mungkin bisa langsung balikin ke Khadijah.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Nanan, for sharing with us your experience, yeah, as someone that come from Indonesia and living in America. Yeah, so of course there's maybe a slight different, but yeah, you can learn a lot from your education experience there. So now we have come to the Q&A session. I would like to give the floor to everyone who would like to ask. You can use the chat box and type down your question there, and then I will read the question for you, or you can raise your hand and then you can ask directly to our speaker today. So it's very interesting to hear two perspectives, yeah, from Sister Felicia and also Sister Nanan about the education and how it shapes their growth mindset there. Okay, there's one question from Farah, from Jaipuraya. So when was the first time you realized that, oh, I want to go study in the US, and what's the biggest reason?
Okay, so honestly, I don't want to go to the US in the first place. I mean, I was gonna like go to the UK because I got my master back in the UK. So like I know the country, I know the city. So I was like, I guess I'm gonna go to the UK. But I got rejected on the like last stage of LPDP. I was so confident back then that I will get a scholarship, and then in the interview phase, the last phase, I got rejected. So and then I know there is like another scholarship. It was Fulbright, so yes, apply, and then I got it. And I'm so grateful being here because compared to the UK, American is a very big city, and it's all land, so you can drive from Texas, from the Felicia to Missouri just by car. and it will take about 12 hours, I guess. Yeah, kind of, yeah. And yeah, so it's really easy. Like you can buy a car, and cars here is very cheap. You can get not so good car, but like 3,000K in Missouri, you can get a car. 3,000 itu berapa rupiah ya? Tiga kali sekitar 45 juta gitu ya. You can get a car, you can buy a car. Jadi in the US, you will know everyone if you go to the conference. So yeah, I mean, I like being here. And as you know, like United States is the locations of not one, many top universities in the world. So yeah, come here, let's study here. You can meet Felicia and me and as a person. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So it's like a plot twist, yeah. Yeah, but you still can get, what is it? You can still be grateful, yeah, about what you now get in America. Now we have the second question from still, yeah, from Sister Farah from Jayapura. So this is the question for Kak Felicia. So what makes you sure when you switch your major? And is there what is the biggest factor behind your decision in switching major?
Yeah, so I went into college, like I said, wanting to be a forensic psychologist. So my minor, so I'm not sure how the education system works in colleges there, but so we have a major, like when I on my degree, it says in psychology. But we also have to take a minor, and so half of the credits of what you have to take a major. And it's just in case if I decided I don't want my psychology degree anymore, I want to go back to school, but I don't want to start from the beginning. I came in with like 30 something credits within my minor. I can go back and it takes me less time to actually complete that degree compared to spending 4 years back into a BS or BA degree. And so my minor is actually in criminal justice because, like I said, I wanted to go into criminal psychology and stuff like that. Um, I realized I really didn't want to do that anymore, probably by like my junior year. And that's because my sophomore year, I was kind of at a low where I wasn't sure if I even wanted to be in college anymore, just because I didn't really have that community support like I was talking about. And so I'm also a first generation college student. So it's really hard to relate to like my parents or like people around me just because I didn't have that support system like that going into college. Um, and so I learned research if you wanted to go to grad school. And I knew I wanted to go to grad school, but again, I thought I wanted to be a psychologist. And so I talked to one of my professors. He did research methods, which was a class we had to take. And I was like, I want to get more involved. I don't know how. How do I join research? And he was like, well, actually, my lab I came in during COVID, so like his lab was just completely gone. Like everyone graduated or they didn't come back, and he was like, "My lab is completely free. See if you like it, and if you don't like it, I'll find you somewhere else. But if you do like it, you can stay." So I joined. It was a cognition lab where we looked at memory, we looked at in-race bias, out-race bias, stuff like that. And I actually loved it. It was the first time that I felt like I found a community and I found my place. I remember walking out and I was like, oh my goodness, I am actually so happy. I felt like I was back in like high school again where I had like friends and my community and stuff like that. And so that felt really nice. And during that journey, I was like, oh, actually, I really enjoy experimental stuff. I love the whole idea of it. And I went to the conference, my very first conference, where we were presenting, and met another person. His name was Dr. White, and he was also a biology professor at St. Where he looked at psychopharmacology. It was our own behavioral neuroscience that we had there. And he was like, are you my class? And I was like, yeah, I am in the fall. And he goes, okay. He's like, well, if you like this, let me know, and maybe you can join my lab because he was also a newer professor as well. And I was like, okay. So during the summer, like as an undergrad, you're not required to credit or do research hours and able to. I wanted to do it because I realized I actually really enjoyed research. And so I Dr. White noticed that I was still there during the summer. I didn't really leave. I was still really active in my lab. And he was like, well, if you make an A in my course, you can join my lab. And so that was my goal. I made an A in his course. I joined his lab. And so we looked at anxiety and depression. And we gave our animals, we used chicks. Most labs use like rats or mice. We gave it to them and like to see how their anxiolytics, which is like their anxiety or like depressant levels go. And the first half of it, I wasn't really sure about because I was like, oh, I never want to do animal research. Um, and then towards the end, I fell in love with it. I enjoyed animal research. I enjoyed what we were learning. I enjoyed learning more about the brain, and those were honestly my favorite classes. And so it wasn't until I was going into like my end of my junior year into my senior year when I realized I absolutely loved what I was doing and the research and working with animals and the whole neuroscience aspect of it. So it's too late for me to like change into a biology like minor or something just because I wanted to graduate. I didn't want to be there for like too much longer. And so I made sure that my research and my skills were now leaning more towards neuroscience than it was leaning towards like psychology. And so we had the option of doing like undergrad theses. And so I did it with Dr. White so I can have that background within neuroscience. So when I apply to PhD programs, I can be like, I know I came in with a different background, but here's my like skills and here's everything that I learned. Please accept me.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. And is there any more questions for Kak Nanan or Kak Felicia? Is like sister, yeah. So we call Kak Felicia, Sister Felicia in Indonesia. Okay, so while waiting for the others to ask, okay, one more question from Sister Farah. Wow, Kak Nanan, can I ask for like general tips, yeah, three general tips that you can give to um college student that has just come to US?
Mm, for me, find Indonesian community. That's the first thing that you have to do because you will miss the food, you will miss the people. So in order like to adapt well, find Indonesian community. That's the first thing, and the second one is involve in community. You can volunteering in, I don't know, in food bank, in the university, whatever. Come to the general affair at your university. Go to the student center, find your international advisor, talk to them, ask them what you can do, what you cannot do. And the third one is, I don't know, apa ya? Mm, maybe create a plans. What do you want to do in regards to your study? What GPA you want to achieve? Like what kind of organization you want to participate it with? Apa lagi? What kind of extracurricular activities that you want to go? Maybe you can go, you can try band like Felicia. We have still have band at the Mizzou. Or you can, I don't know. So find something that is fun, find something that is good for your study in general. So yeah, I think that's all. Ya, kita bisa ngobrol lagi kalau mau yang lebih spesifik gitu, Farah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for the questions, also for our speakers for the thoughtful answers. I think we still have time for more questions. If you would like to ask questions to our speaker, please do chat in the chat box or you can raise your hand. Okay, while waiting for the other to ask, I think I have one question for both of you. So I myself a teacher and I always go with, students nowadays they have lack of curiosity or lack of. It's very interesting when Felicia told how the teachers encourage her to explore and to always believe that they can achieve success, they can be a successful person in the future. But I think when we talk about lifelong learner, to become a lifelong learner, we need to know our efficient way to think. So I was just, is there any learning habit, learning strategies that you for this long time that is work for you, and how do you, what is it, how do you use it in daily activity learn? And also for one other question for Sister Nanan is there any, like culture shock when you first got to university in the US, and then especially about the learning habit? Is it like so different between the learning habit in Indonesia and in America? Well, for Sister Felicia, maybe you can share with us, is there any learning strategies that you use, or like your teacher used to, what is it, make it as a habit so that you can have this mindset and then this curiosity, this resilience in learning something, in learning a field, and really go deep into it? I think it's very interesting to know. So maybe we can hear from Sister Felicia.
Yeah, to be honest, like K through 12, I don't really remember what I did. I feel like what I do now is completely different. Um, because like I felt like I just kind of dove straight into studying. Like I remember work upon hours, just like whenever I got home, I would go straight to the books, do whatever I had to do. Highly don't recommend that because like sometimes you get really burnt out very quickly. College, I realized I work better in chunks. And so, and I also work better space out my day. So like just half a day, like in the summer, I will work on something to do with lab. And so I spend like 4 hours doing that. And then the following 4 hours, I switch it up so that I don't feel like I am getting burnt out or bored doing the same thing. Because I realize if I do consistently for multiple hours, I want to not do it anymore. And I actually learn a lot less. And then for exams and stuff, I like using Quizlet. I think I'm a huge proponent of it, but I'm a huge proponent of the Quizlet, not finding a random one. Um, which basically just like flashcards and stuff like that. And my favorite feature was doing the test because I test myself with the information I thought was very nice. And then another thing that I personally have started doing, because like in a PhD program, especially like this one, you have to read a lot of articles. And it took me a hot minute to figure out how to do it, especially like coming from psychology, where I understood all the terms and the concepts, to like more biology and more neuroscience. There's actually like like online stuff that I've used that has helped me a lot. Like I like using Notebook LM, which is generated by Google, and it's a not an open source platform. And so whatever you put in there, you that's the only thing that has access to. So I just put in an article and I like diving deep into it. So like they have a podcast function where like I can give it to me where it explains it like either in like an oral way, and then I read it, and which helps me understand it. And then I'll ask it to break it down to me in like an elementary level, because if I'm able to understand it in a simple level, then I'll slowly be able to understand it at a higher level. And so just trying to find those little things that like has helped me, like especially breaking it down at a lower level has really helped me overall, like trying to understand concepts and stuff.
Okay, yeah, I think the strategy that we can use here from Sister Felicia, thank you so much for sharing with us, is doing things in chunks, yeah, and also test yourself. So currently I'm reading a book about, it's called Make It Stick. So it's how we develop our learning habit, an effective learning habit. And one of the key is that actually to test ourselves. So in Indonesia, we really, really scared of tests. Like we really avoid tests. Like test is like something that we scared of. I think the image of tests, yeah, in Indonesia especially. So when the teacher said, okay, it's quiz time, they will be like, no. And then every time we go through, I think that's also the same thing, yeah, maybe like the final test or something. But yeah, to test yourself about something that you have learned, it's very important. And also reading, yeah, reading and understand it in the simplest, in the elementary level, yeah, so that if you can understand it in the elementary level, that means that you can understand it in the higher level too. Okay, thank you, Sister Felicia. And then let's listen from Kak Nanan. What about you, Kak? And there's one more question that I ask you is that any culture shock that you find in the learning habit too.
Yeah, so for culture shocks, let me think. Maybe because this is my second time like studying abroad, so I kind of like expect it. So Um, I'm not really like shocked, but the thing is same with Felicia because I'm from psychology major as well. So like integrative neuroscience one, what is this? I don't understand at all. So both of us took a course called integrative neuroscience one, which is basically School of Medicine course. I said because it's like biomolecular level. I mean, we know it, but elementary level, we don't we don't really like understand it. So that's culture shock for me because I didn't plan to go to neuroscience at first. I just want to go to cognitive psychology, but I ended up in neuroscience major. So that's my culture shock. Maybe it's not related with the American thing here, but for American, maybe it's the food. So in here, everyone use microwave as like to go food. So you basically everything is frozen. You just took it from the fridge and put it on microwave for 5 minutes, and then that's your breakfast. For lunch, another menu. For dinner, another menu. So here, everyone loves like instant food in the microwave, and we have tons of canned food. So because I got scholarship, so I am eligible to go to food bank. So when I go to food bank, all I found is like a lot of like canned food. We have tuna, we have carrots, we have beans, everything on the cans. It's kind of like shocking to me because in Indonesia it's kind of like expensive, Felicia. But in here it's very cheap. So I was like, wow, okay, interesting. So that's the second one. And the third one is public transportation. So I thought here in Colombia we have bus, we have trains, but we have buses, but we cannot rely on buses. Here in America, you have to buy a car. You have to own a car. You should drive every day because in America, only big cities has their integrative public transportations. But here we live in Colombia, it's not so big as New York, of course. And even if we go to San Luis, which is like I think it's one of the biggest city in Missouri, we still don't use public transportations much because it's not really like integrative. So it's very like shocking to me because I thought it's kind of like in the UK. In the UK, like every city, even though it's very small city, they have like integrated public transportation system. But here in America, no, you don't have it. So you get a car, you need a car, and you have to learn how to drive if you cannot drive back in Indonesia.
Okay, what about your learning strategy that you have built towards your learning education journey?
So I don't think I have differences with what Felicia said because for me, I love making mind maps. I love listening to podcasts. I make notes. I talk with my friends. So Felicia uses Quizlet, but I use my friend. So like Megan make questions for me. I'm gonna answer and I'm gonna like turn. So I'm gonna make questions to you and you answer me. So that's what I did until now.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing with us your learning strategy. And I think we have one thing that we can also follow, yeah, from our speakers tonight is the mindset to learn something new. Yeah, don't be afraid to learn something new and be, like be in the elementary level again for something, like something you don't want to have that feeling, oh, I still don't know anything, but you have to face just learning. We have to we need to have that mindset too. Okay. So, is there any more questions maybe some of you would like to ask our speaker tonight? Because we actually still have plenty of time. But if there are no more questions, I think we can end the session for today. So, everyone, before we end our session today, let's have a photo session first. So, that we can remember this inspiring moment, yeah. And maybe if someday you go to America, you can show the picture to Kak Nanan or Felicia, yeah. And then you can maybe meet up in person with them if possible. Okay, so please on your camera. We are going to take a picture together. Okay, is that all? Okay, so let's take a picture together. Give your best smile. 3, 2, 1. Let's do one more pose. You can change your pose if you want. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Once again, thank you so much, Sister Felicia and also Kak Nanan, for a very powerful and insightful session. We learned a lot from your experience and also your tips that you shared with us about how to have a growth mindset, resilience, and how to be a lifelong learner. It's very um, exceptional and so inspiring to us. And also for all of you who have stayed until the end of our session today, thank you so much. And uh, there are another session of Go Growing webinar session tomorrow. So make sure that you also have register yourself for the next session. And that's all from us tonight, everyone. Have a restful evening, and we hope to see you again in the next session. Take care and keep learning. Good night, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.